Well, it makes me feel really good. Of course, Roger's deceased, has been since 1972. And I can't speak for Roger, but I wish he was still alive so that he could enjoy the advancement that we have created. I say we as the whole, everybody that's involved in it has created over the years. You know, it started out where if you had seen a Bigfoot, you're a kook, you know, and nobody believed you. So, but now it's a whole different story. There's too many folks that come out with good evidence and sightings and all kinds of evidence. So they can't deny it any longer. And so the last few years has been really good. There's Bigfoot jerky, Bigfoot everything. And so I'm really pleased with the advancement that we have acquired so over the years. The first 35 years was difficult. It was, around where I lived, gee whiz, I was a real outcast.
Hi guys, welcome to the vault, the safe place for paranormal evidence. However, as you can tell, I'm not in the vault today. I've come on location for this very special episode. It's called Bigfoot, the best of the best. What's it all about? Well, as it says in the title, because I don't believe in putting titles to my videos where I don't deliver on what that title is about. We'll come to that later. But basically, yeah, as I said, this is called Bigfoot, the best of the best. So in a minute, shortly, I'm going to be sharing a montage of videos and footage with you that across my research is the videos that I would assign to as the best chance of being genuine. Now, whether that means that it's Sasquatch or Bigfoot, that's another subject for discussion. What I mean is that the footage isn't somebody trying to intentionally hoax or fakes or scam us. So basically, as we go through that montage and that footage, I'm going to be putting some stab narrations just to explain shortly why I chose these footage. But later in the video, I may discuss them or pop in and out of talking about them in discussion. Once we've done the best of the best montage, then we're going to be going into my journey, because I thought I would share it with you guys, because I've been looking into the subject for quite a few years now before I started YouTubing. And so basically, you know, I just wanted to kind of give you a bit of an overview of where I've got to in my journey and in my research and what my conclusions thus far are. And then basically, I'm going to be featuring some other videos as well, just talking about using some videos to show where I've gained some certain skills and attributes with doing analysis, and I'm just going to share those with you. And then I've got some other footage that we've never featured before on the vault, just to round off this special to share with you guys, and you can comment. For this special, I'm going to really want your guys' comments when it comes to the montage of the best of the best. You know, by all means, you guys have the freedom to disagree with what I'm saying, but remember that this is not saving lives. This is the Bigfoot phenomena. So please be kind with your comments. If you disagree, you know, basically just be nice. And, you know, because your guys' input actually affects a lot about what I think and feel with some of my research, because some of these videos I wouldn't have initially chosen maybe a year ago, but after listening to what you guys have got to say about them and the thoughts and the things that you've noticed, it sells me. So, you know, your comments are really, really important. But as I said, I'm going to be going through my journey a little bit, talking about what got me started on this journey, where I've got to so far. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the future and what I would like to do in the future. So here I am in Devon, in the UK, out in the wilderness, and I've chosen this backdrop especially because it's a piece of forest that's close to me that I've got lost in a few times. I'm not going to lie, I've not got a compass with me today. But it definitely, every time I come here, it reminds me of almost being transported to like Canada or Alberta or northern Washington in the US or something. So hopefully it's a great backdrop for the atmosphere that we want for this Bigfoot special. Anyway, guys, enough talking from me. Let's get into that best of the best montage. See you in a minute. Just a couple more things before we get into that montage that I just forgot. FYI, I forgot to mention it's quite a sunny day here in the UK, which is very not very often, so I am a bit warm, but that's nice. But anyway, the two things that I forgot to mention, I was talking about how I chose this location, and I did come and do some scouting and some test filming days, and on one of those days I had my own strange encounter in the woods, and I'll play that for you guys a little bit later, a bit unique. And then also just to mention, at the intro of this video, I was using a quote, some audio from Bob Gimlin himself, man, 50% of the duo behind the original Patty footage. And later on in the video, I'll explain why I'm using that quote, and I'll have some other quotes from Bob Gimlin as we go throughout today's special. But it'll all make sense in the end, and we'll talk about it after you guys watch the montage. So definitely montage is coming this time. Now, the majority of you guys will be familiar with this footage as the Patterson-Gimlin original footage, and there's a reason that I'll go into in a minute why I've chosen the original, but you can't start the best of a best montage without this footage. If this is the first time you're watching this and you're new to the Bigfoot phenomenon, this is the Bible. And the reason why I've chosen to share the original format is because if you'd watched this footage in the 70s or in the 80s or throughout a lot of the 90s as well, this is the version that you would have had to have watched. And that's a really interesting point which I'll be discussing later on in this special. Now, this is just one of the many stabilized versions of the Patterson-Gimlin footage. There's plenty out there. MK Davis does a really good one, but this will give you an indication of how people then could start viewing and analysing the footage from like the late 90s, early 2000s, and how that analysis has continued to progress over the last couple of decades. Now with this one, everybody knows who follows my episodes on the Vault that I am a fan of cam footage, or what we would view as CCTV, permanent live feed cams, because they're a lot more difficult to manipulate. This is one of two that I'm going to share. This one is from 2017, and unfortunately it's second-hand, so the footage that you're watching is somebody filming a screen, because that's the only way they could capture what was happening live on camera. But it appears to be a family of Bigfoots, or a community, and this is an area of Yellowstone which is off limits to humans. Lots of areas of Yellowstone are, and this is why the camera is put in place. Now this second one from Yellowstone, again from a live cam and a live feed. This is from the Old Faithful geyser area, which again is off limits to humans because of the geysers and the toxic levels that they give off, or supposedly that's what we're told. This was originally uploaded to the internet on YouTube by a channel called Mary Greeley, which has about 15,000 subscribers and has about 200 odd videos, but none of them are about anything paranormal or Bigfoot related, only this one. Most of them are political or global interest topics. And yeah, so it was really curious, but Thinker Thunker did a really great analysis of this video. In his breakdown, he shows through photographic manipulation that one of the figures that you'll see later in the video, he takes it from the distance and brings it into the foreground and compares it next to one of the buffaloes. That buffaloes are roughly about 6 foot in height and would dominate over an average man. And these creatures, even though in the distance when brought forward, are taller than the buffalo and would probably work out to be about 8 foot tall. So that is something that firstly is really interesting about this footage. This footage I consider to be the closest thing, although it came from 2015, to the Patterson Gimlin footage in terms of it being a really solid piece of evidence. This next segment of footage has never been featured on the Vault or on the Monty Zone before, but it's one that I've always held in high regard. It's filmed in Alberta that I was mentioning earlier on, which is one of the global hotspots for Sasquatch and Bigfoot encounters and sightings. And this is filmed by a mobile phone. And when I originally saw this footage, I quite quickly dismissed it. And the reason why I dismissed it was because I thought that it was possibly a large ape or a gorilla, because it appeared to be on all fours. The main thing about this footage is that at first it appears at a glance that it's throwing some sort of stick, but it actually turns out that it's a tree trunk, or the equivalent of a trunk. And that's because it's been measured against other sizable objects in the distance, like other trees. And it's about like 8 foot long, this tree trunk that's being thrown, and it's also been proven by zoom technology that it's using one appendage to throw this trunk. And so that would need an opposable thumb, so it's definitely not a bear or something like that. Now, I saw a breakdown video of this footage where someone went to the location where it was originally filmed, and actually it turns out that it's a slope behind where this creature is, so it's not on all fours, it's just extremely tall. Well, I couldn't very well do a best of the best montage of Bigfoot without the Cass River footage. This footage has a special place in my heart because it was one of the first pieces of footage that I did a full breakdown of in G-Star Vault about 9 months ago, and it's had a really good reaction, so thank you to everybody who has watched and commented on that video. There are other people that have done more exclusive breakdowns of this footage, but for me it's a definite strong piece of footage, and it just keeps popping up new information, so it's definitely one to consider. Now, Idaho is a location that keeps popping up in my investigations, and this particular piece of footage from Idaho was featured on the very first Monty Zone live stream that we did on the Bigfoot subject, where we were joined by guests Daniel Godwin and Ben from the 401 Files. Basically, with this footage, I really wish that I could invest into some better software for kind of taking zoomed footage and being able to process it a little bit better. I've tried to do it here, but believe you me, on some of the analysis that I've done on this, where I have zoomed in a lot, towards the end you can see what is to me a Bigfoot is pacing like almost like a human being would on the moon. By that I mean they're sort of doing strides of like sort of 2.5-3 meters at a time, and it's amazing the distance that this thing covers in about 20 seconds is just astounding. So the second piece of footage in this best of the best montage from Idaho, as I said, a lot of activity coming from Idaho. This piece of footage I actually covered in a breakdown video for G-Star Vault, and I'm blown away. It's climbing up to almost 14,000 views, and there's just been some amazing comments on there. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I'll put a link in the description to the original breakdown video. You can check it out there if you think this one looks interesting to you. However, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody that commented, because when I originally started doing the breakdown of this video, I would have said that I was about 50-50 on it. I wasn't too sure. There's a lot of points that go to argue towards this being a genuine piece of footage, and there's other points that scream that it's a typical hoax. However, I would say from your guys' comments online that about 70% are really for this being genuine and 30% are maybe not so much. But some people have made some really great points in those comments, so again, thank you. And this one definitely deserves a place in this best of the best. This one rounds off the best of the best montage. However, there are going to be more Bigfoot videos and footage later on in this special. But this one, again, featured on the Vault, but on a short, so it was less than a minute long video that I did, giving a breakdown of this one. And it comes from Georgia, USA. And I found it from a group called Cryptid University on Instagram. Monty, I think, disagrees with me on my breakdown on this one, or at least that's what I recall. He mentioned something about that possibly the tree that I was given the measurements on is not a big tree at all. However, I think that my measurements are actually pretty on the safe side, actually, and that my measurements sort of kind of lent towards the fact that this creature is about 7.5, 8 foot tall. Later on in this special, I'm going to include some footage where I'll explain and justify what my breakdown was, and maybe challenge Monty's opinion a little bit.
I say, well, think whatever you want to think. I know what I saw, and if you've seen the film footage, analyze it and think about it. And don't tell me that they can't exist, and because there's so many people out in the woods all the time that would see one. I'd say, don't even talk to me about that. I said, just think about what you're saying, and if you don't, then that's your ball game. You can think. I said, I'm not out here to prove to anybody that they exist at all. I said, I know they exist, and I say, there's no question. They say, well, is there a little bit of question? Is there a question whether you could have been fooled? I said, no way. No way. Well, we'll go away. We were 36 miles back in the woods. And the closest thing to us was guys up on the side of the mountain, way up high, starting to build a logging road back. And they were way on up on the side of the mountain with a bulldozer and road graders and stuff. And I don't even know if they were even anybody up there on a Saturday. This was on a Saturday afternoon, October 20th, 1967.
Hey guys, welcome back. So I hope you enjoyed those videos. And as I say, please in the comments, put your thoughts on whether you think they were all pretty much belonged in the best of the best, or whether there's any that you would highlight as being a little bit more suspicious. But as I say, hopefully I've given a good reason in my comments and narration along with the montage about why I use them, and hopefully you guys are in agreement with that. Anyway, so as I said, I think the next section of this special is for me to take you on that journey about how I started on all of this in the first place. And if I go way back when, one of the things that a lot of you guys probably don't know, because I don't think I've ever mentioned it on the Vault or on the Monty Zone or on the channel before, but when I was younger, when I was 16 to be precise, I lived in the United States of America and I graduated high school. I was an international student and I lived in Phoenix in Arizona, and I was there for a good sort of year and a half, and I've been back and traveled across quite a bit of the West Coast. In terms of the States, in general, I've been to lots of states really. I've been to New Mexico, Nevada, California, New York, Florida, and you know, when I was out there and I was living with a host family as an international student, the Arnolds, basically they took me up into the mountains of Flagstaff in Arizona. It's in the northern part of Arizona. It's very snowy there most of the year round. Perfect Sasquatch and Bigfoot territory. However, we stayed in the family log cabin up in the mountains, right out in the middle of nowhere. It was a really cool place. Come to this really dark patch of forest. Check this out, guys. I mean, it's the middle of a sunny day, but it's kind of black in there and in there, and I could venture in there if I was brave, like Ben from 401 Files, but I'm not. So I'm just going to carry on walking. Anyway, as I was saying, so yeah, we were in the mountains of Flagstaff, and I was about 16 and a half at this time. And one of the friends of the family met us there, who was a long-term friend of the family, but he wasn't from Arizona, he was from Montana. I think he was in his early 60s or mid 60s. Anyway, I got chatting to him one evening and he told me all about this story about when he encountered a Bigfoot. It was quite horrific. And I'm not going to go through the story now, but at the time, you know, it sort of was a really interesting story. And it was really, how should we say, mind-opening, but it didn't resonate with me because at the time, I hadn't really started that journey yet. I only recalled the story about 4 or 5 years ago when I started my, I'm going to go into the dark woods now. Yeah, when I started my sort of journey into this sort of subject and researching, it was then that I remembered this story that this gentleman by the name of Chris from Montana was his name. And he had a really interesting story. And what I hope to do in the future is try and see if Chris is still alive. It was a good 25, 30 years ago, so he may not be. And if I can't find him, I may just recount as much of his story as I can remember. But yeah, so basically then if we fast forward to about 5 years ago, oh gosh, look at that tree. That looks like that's going to go at any time now. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a big tree there that's kind of leaning over pretty badly. Anyway, let me turn the camera around and then hopefully you guys will be able to see it better. That's the tree I was talking about. Looks like it's going to fall over any moment now. Fingers crossed it doesn't fall on me. Just wanted to share this with you guys. I don't know if you can see the tree. It's just there in the middle of my vision, and kind of just been broken off from sort of like a third of the way up. Can't see where the tree's fallen. However, just to point out, what brought me to this section was because of this huge, humongous tree that's been cut down, and it sort of blocked my path and stopped me walking, but managed to negotiate my way around it. But then I noticed that tree that had been broken, but it could be something as simple as weather, because it definitely doesn't look like it's chopped. It looked like it's broken in half, but that's curious. What has the strength to take down a healthy young tree like that and snap it in half? Who knows? Anyway, getting back to the story of what got me into Bigfoot, and so rewind 4 or 5 years ago, I watched a breakdown video of the Patterson-Gimlin footage, and up until that point, like most people, I just assumed that it was fake, and like a lot of people, I thought it was a guy in a suit. And why I use that quote at the beginning of this video of Bob Gimlin talking, because it's really interesting to think about it from his perspective. He says something really interesting in that footage, that for 35 years it was pretty terrible up until recently, because for a good amount of time, all that Bob was basically criticism and people considering them to be a little bit cuckoo, and or trying to fake people, and that just simply wasn't the case. However, technology didn't allow people to do what they've done. The reason why I wanted to show you guys the original footage, because you can see that up until, you know, the late 90s, really, it was about sort of the, well, I think it was the early 90s, mid 90s, that some of the technology caught up and they were able to stabilize the footage and do some better analysis of it. And so basically, you know, once that analysis happened and they were able to stabilize the footage and technologies continued to develop, they've been able to analyze the footage, and everything that they've done, even people who have come at it from a debunker point of view, who are wanting to debunk it, have then done this analysis and gone, do you know what, it ends up solidifying it as being a little bit more genuine. You know, Thinker Thunker put in a video recently, and I wish I had thought to do it, so hopefully I will try and get some pictures and share them on the screen with you now. But the main overriding thing about the Patterson-Gimlin footage is and we've talked about this on the Monty Zone before on my vault, but the main thing is that it was filmed in 1967. If you're going to think it's a man in a suit, well, even in top Hollywood productions, suits like that didn't exist. Here's an example, and this is why the idea that Thinker Thunker gave to me is just to put it on screen and show just how bad the suits in top Hollywood productions were in 1967 for things like monsters and gorillas, etc. So for somebody to design a suit like that, you know, in comparison, it's like saying that somebody filmed some footage in the 1980s on a mobile phone. You know, it physically wasn't possible, and it wasn't possible for someone to fake a suit like we see in the Patterson-Gimlin footage in 1967. So ultimately, if you take that away, then you start at base where you're thinking, okay, then what is it? How can I explain it? So you delve in deeper and you do more research, and there is so much research on that footage now that really goes to support it. There's some new stuff that's come up recently, you know, about they've taken in close snaps of the foot of Patty as it lifts, and then a lot of people don't realize is that when Patterson and Gimlin shot that footage, after they stopped filming, they also took prints with you know, did casts of prints, and those casts match up to the zoom in of the foot of Patty as well. That's some recent research that's been done and made some interesting findings. But the reason why I'm talking about all of this and how it relates to my journey is because basically once I started realizing that about the Patterson-Gimlin footage, I thought, okay, well, this is a lot more interesting. Let's delve into this subject. And that sort of started my research. The first part of my research was just reading a lot of books, watching a lot of documentaries, and then as I progressed into doing YouTube with Monty and starting this channel and doing things like the Monty Zone, my research and investigation went more into things like photography and video footage and analysing it that way. But my background always was within more literature and reading accounts, etc. And that's where some of my background knowledge comes from. So that's what got me started on this journey. And yeah. But I'm just faced with the possibility of, do I walk uphill or do I walk downhill? And do I walk down this extremely steep slope where if I take a stumble, I am going to fall? I'm not going to lie, I'm going to fall. But anyway, check you guys out in a minute.
Well, yeah, when I first saw the film footage, I thought, that's nothing. He never really got anything that was good, because I was looking at it through two blue eyes, and Roger was with the camera, and the film footage that he got was, well, I finally decided that it's pretty good. But the first time I saw it, I said, that's nothing. That's nothing. I saw so much more of everything, of the muscle movement, and I was looking at it all the time. Roger had to relocate 2 or 3 different times to get a little closer. And well, that's why I rode across the creek and took the rifle out of the scabbard, just because he said, well, Bob, can you cover me while I go and get in another area? because he wasn't sure that it was all alone either. He didn't know whether the other two, because there was 3 different size footprints, whether the other two was there somewhere around.
So continuing to talk about the sort of my journey thus far, as I mentioned, when I started doing YouTube, I started getting into a lot more of doing video analysis and photography analysis. And, you know, people like Think Thunker, Ben at the 401 Files, Daniel Godwin, all of these guys who've been really, really supportive of myself and Monty's YouTube journey. And a bit of a shout out to those guys, especially to Daniel Godwin, the silent farter, on one of his latest videos. I have to say that really made me laugh, Dan. But yeah, big shout out to you guys, and thank you for supporting our channel as you have over the last year or so. But going back to the footage and analysis, you know, I'm not an expert. I'm not an SFX expert or special effects expert. But one of the things that I can tell you guys, which really just come down to an important thing about my investigation, is that throughout my professional career, which has nothing to do with obviously the paranormal and cryptozoology, but I've had to do several sort of personality tests like Myers-Briggs and Insight. And one of the things that's universally come back on those analysis, or on those, what's the word that I'm looking for? Character profiles. It says that I'm really data driven and that I really like structure, and I like to get to the core of the information as soon as possible, but also that I am a lateral thinker and that I'm a natural problem solver. I can problem solve quite quickly on my feet, and it's a sort of big thing that is part of my attributes, my skills, my character, and it's something that I really, really enjoy. So in short, what I'm trying to say is that I really like investigating, and it leans to some of my natural attributes and skills. And as I've been going through, as I say, I still wouldn't put myself at that point where I say that I'm an expert, but you know, from people around me and you know, just the journey, I've picked up some certain skills. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a piece of footage with you now that comes from MVTV. It's quite recent, and it was uploaded in 2021. I know a lot of different people have got different opinions on NTV. I certainly have mine, and I'll talk about them a little bit later as we talk about some debunking stuff. But anyway, check this footage out. It was uploaded in 2021. It's based in the woods, very similar to where I am today, but it doesn't say where. So it could be anywhere in the world. Doesn't give any details of exact dates. As I say, it was uploaded onto YouTube in 2021. So far, I've only been able to find it on the NTV channel. Whether it exists anywhere else, I don't know. I might have seen it on RSMO, which is the Sasquatch Mountain Organization. Those guys are pretty good usually, but I'm not 100% certain that it is on their channel. Anyway, you guys watch it. We'll come back afterwards and I'll talk about it in relation to my footage analysis. So enjoy it. See you in a minute. Hi guys, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that footage. So as I mentioned, as you can see, it came from NVTV. no description of where it was, and I'm going to give you my thoughts, and you can let me know what you thought in comments. So first and foremost, that footage. Okay, so the first thing that my eye goes to, or the consideration that I make, is why is it in black and white? That's a really key question we need to ask ourselves, because a lot of people will instantly look at that footage and think, do you know what, that's night vision. But it's not, because night vision is either you're filming at night and you don't have night vision and it's really dark, or you have night vision and it kind of gives off this green hue. It's not black and white. So some may argue that, well, it was maybe filmed at dusk or something like that, but it still doesn't explain why it's in black and white. Black and white is a filter that's been put on it. And I do believe that it's deliberately made to kind of look old. And that's why it's been given a filter. I think the footage for me feels like somebody's tried to almost recapture the whole Patty footage, and you know, they've tried to make it look old and feeling that that would make it look genuine. So that's the first thought, because you know, for me, I believe that that footage was filmed during the day, and what you can see that a lot of people would naturally think that it's moonlight shining through the forest, but I think it's sun rays. And it was filmed during the day in colour, but then for some reason put in black and white. Then the second thing is, why is there no audio with it? The only thing, as I said, is the only place you can really find it is on MVTV, I think, and they've just got some sort of like music with it, so there's no audio, and that makes me suspicious straight off. You know, there's a lot of footage that I've seen, some that I've used in my best of the best, that doesn't come with the audio, but that's because it was filmed from a live cam, or like a cam that's streamed like CCTV, or it was, you know, filmed in such a way that even if you had the audio on, like the footage that I think is from Oregon, the one that Cryptozoology shared, the one that I did the short on, where I do believe that the creature is 7.5, 8 foot tall. There was no audio with that. Oh, there was actually, sorry, but it was just really, really noisy, like somebody was using a microphone on a camera, and where they're putting their hands all over the microphone. It was really horrible. So when I shared it, I just put some of the Vault sort of music on it, and because else it's just not very entertaining to the ear to watch it. But anyway, so going back to this particular footage that's recently been shared by MVTV, you know, why is there no audio with it? I just want to mention as well that something that's really significant as well, which I said earlier on before we watched the video, is there's no details. It just says a man was in the woods. It doesn't say where he was in the woods. So again, it doesn't allow anybody to go and find that location and do some measurements to try and get an idea of size, or you know, to investigate it more. There is no ability to investigate that footage because we don't even know where it was. And then, you know, there's the other thing about, if you watch the footage again, and I've been keeping the footage here playing in the background, hopefully, so you guys keep seeing it and seeing what I'm talking about. But, you know, the other thing is, why does the cameraman always keep the tree in focus, which then makes the creature, or what I think is a person in a suit, look blurred? And again, I think it's to hide the effect of the costume. I think both the black and white filter and also the way in which the footage is focused, keeping the focus on the tree in the foreground, is all to take your eye away from the fact that the suit, probably you would be probably able to tell more that it was a suit. And again, a lot of people, and again, the reason why I've chosen this footage, and as I say, general rule, I don't do debunking. I'll only bring footage to you guys usually that I generally think there's something worth investigating. However, you know, on this particular footage, I'm just surprised is what I would say, about the number of people that have commented on YouTube and other platforms and feel that this footage is very, very genuine. And I would say it's about 75% of people who watch it, and so therefore the video is getting quite a bit of traction. And And I just think that that's not right for the research, for the investigation, and for the phenomenon as a whole, because for me it just it's sort of toxic how it pollutes the subject matter. But you know, you guys could disagree with me, and I'm sure there's probably, based on the fact that there's 75% of people. Oh, hold on a minute, I'm just going to stop talking and I'm just going to show you guys that I've just come across strangely what is like a really big ditch. I don't know if you guys can see that. Don't know what would cause that randomly in the middle of this forest. Hopefully I'll get it with my other camera as well, because I've got my other camera on my chest, so hopefully I can get some footage of that and show you guys a bit strange. Whoa. And now I'm being attacked by insects. There you go. That's what you get for coming out into the wild, isn't it? Getting attacked by all sorts of things and potential of falling down a ditch. Anyway, going back to the analysis of the footage. So yeah, it's getting a lot of traction. So I felt compelled to kind of feature it and say that I just think that this is a bunch of crap, basically. And it's very rare that I would do that, and it's very rare that we would do that on this channel. But also I just wanted to point towards where, you know, you have to have that analytical eye when you're looking at stuff, and not just jump to, you know, both myself and Monty and all the guys that we've so far worked with on YouTube, like Ben, like Dan, we're open-minded skeptics. So therefore, we're open-minded, we believe or want to believe in the phenomena, but at the same time, we're not just going to easily accept what we see, and we're going to kind of break it down. And that's why I love what I do, and I love other people like Thinker Funker and the efforts that they make to really break it down, because once you break it down, the idea is to kind of solidify it a little bit more, or to, you know, arise evidence that will make you just walk on by and bypass it and judge it as not genuine. And that's a really good, it brings me on to a really good subject to talk about. So again, on my journey, my research, and especially around the whole thing around footage or photographs, what I would say is that possibly 80% of material that is shared is pareidolia. And by pareidolia, I mean that it's something that somebody's caught, captured, can't explain, or they think that it looks strange enough that they're going to share it and just get people's views. And a lot of people do that for clickbait, but they didn't intentionally go out to fake it. So they didn't put a person in a suit, they didn't do special effects, they didn't go to any effort, but the footage is just strange enough that they've decided to share it, and but not necessarily an intention when filming it to actually fake. Then I think there is about 15% where people are trying to hoax, and they are intentionally trying to do stuff, and most of that you'll find on MVTV, to be honest with you. I mean, again, I don't want to really rip into MVTV, because they actually do have some content that they share that is credible. The problem is that I think they've just got their doors open to anything and anyone, and anything that they get sent or that they make themselves, they just share without thinking about how poor it looks. And the other problem that I have with them is a lot of their titles to their videos don't really back up what the content of the video is. For example, you'll get videos that will sort of be entitled, if you're not a believer, you will be after watching this footage. And then the footage that they then share in that video is probably some of the worst footage that I've ever seen. It doesn't really show you anything. So if you were somebody who's thinking, I'm a non-believer, and maybe this video will make me believe, you just end up thinking, probably walking away from that video going, no, this whole phenomena is just such a load of rubbish. So that sort of thing doesn't really help, and that's why I wanted to feature that particular video and just use it as an example, but also use it as an example of the kind of way I analytically look at these footage and break it down. And that was just a few examples. I could go into more stuff in that footage, but hopefully you guys have got some thoughts and comments as well, so please leave them in the comments below. Okay, so before we close out this chapter 3 of investigating Bigfoot and tips and tricks, I just wanted to go back to one of the pieces of footage in the montage. It was the footage from Georgia, USA. It's the one that I did a very short, it was like a 50-second video, and in that video I'm kind of pointing out towards some measurements in a very sort of Thinker Funker way about why the creature is about 7.5–8 foot tall. and basically, as I said, I only did a short analysis of that. So let's go into a little bit more detail. I said that Monty had mentioned to me that he felt that there was a possible chance that it was quite a small tree, not a big tree, and that it kind of made it look a little bit different. But basically, I've got something that I want to test today to kind of prove my point. Before we go and do that test, what I need to do is I need to find a young tree and I need to find a more mature tree. But also, and again, I can't watch the footage right now because I'm out here in the middle of the wilderness, but if memory serves me right, about 3/4 of the way through that footage, the camera pans left and then back to right, and when it pans left you see some smaller trees and branches, which actually also help put the context into the distance context. It helps a lot with that. Now when I do my test, I can't find I'm not in Georgia, USA, I'm here in the UK. I'm going to find something that looks very similar as a comparable and play the two along side by side. But let's go and find that young tree first, a bit of a little hunt. So this certainly isn't the youngest of trees that I could probably find in this forest/woods, but it is fairly young. And just to give you an idea of its size, just going to pan it up like that, it's still fairly big, tall tree. But you'll notice at the base that because it's quite a young tree, that its roots aren't spread out that thick. If I go back again, you can't really see that arching of the trunk because its roots haven't really sprayed out yet. However, if you then look at a much maturer tree that is much bigger, like the one I'm going to use in the test, you'll see that basically you see a curve at the base of the tree where the roots have spread out, and that's an indication of a much mature tree. You'll see what I mean in the tree that I use for the test. So just before we do this little test, I just wanted to show you the tree that I'm filming up against, and it's this one. So it's not a particularly big tree. I would say that the base of it is about just under a meter thick. I don't know if you can see that, and then looks kind of quite narrow. Now that is a more mature tree with the roots that are spread out at the bottom, as I was talking about earlier. So I was just walking through the woods and I've come across this on the floor. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's like a black sort of animal hair, fur, and yeah, a little bit curious on that one because, and hopefully maybe some of you guys can answer this for me in the comments, but with it being dark fur, it's not like a sheep or a goat. There's not that many black sheep or stuff like that around here. Bit of an expression, black sheep. So this is a kind of dark fur. So what could this dark fur, and there's quite a bit of it all spread out all over the ground. Don't know exactly what it could be. Let me know what you think. So again, before we close out or move on to chapter 4, I did say that I had a bit of my own strange encounter in the woods when I was doing a test film day here on location. So I'm going to play that for you now and check it out. See you in a minute. Guys, I was just filming and I don't know if you can see the deer. It scared the shit out of me at first, but that's beautiful to see. It's a little baby deer. All by itself as well, which is a bit worrying. But there you go. This new footage is brand new to the channel, but not brand new to the world. It was filmed in 2015 around Christmas in northern Minnesota. I haven't got any music with it, it's got all the original audio. You guys have a look, let me know what you think. You can either put that in the comments to this video, or if you haven't joined us on our private Facebook group yet, you could join us there and join the community and contact us there and let us know what your thoughts are. Anyway, guys, enjoy this one.
Christmas, everyone.
Let me know what you think.
Merry Christmas. Got a tree.
What was that?
Oh my God. Did you see that?
Something's behind the garage.
Did you see that?
No, what was it?
It was really big. Oh my God, do you see it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. No way.
That can't be.
What the hell? Oh my God, are you getting this?
I think so.
Oh my God.
Where's it at? Go get it, in the woods.
Oh.
Oh, there goes.
Oh no.
After him. We're real scared of him. Raph! You stay here, Raph. You stay here.
Let me get closer.
Where the heck did it go?
I don't know. I hear something though. I still hear it. Do you guys hear it? Yeah, it is. Riff! Come on, Riff! I did too.
Rip!
gonna come out in the clearing.
Oh, there it is, right over there.
Oh my god. Oh my god. We better get back inside, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so we come to chapter 5. The future. What does it hold? Well, nobody can really fully predict the future. Will I continue to do breakdowns of footage? Yes. I mean, again, the idea of this special is to be as open and honest as I possibly can be. I'm getting to a stage where already I'm getting a little bit bored and tired of that because it's very limited. Being based here in the UK, I would like to, more from a research point of view, be in a situation whereby if I see footage that I can go to that location and research a little bit more. But you know, here on the Vault, we're not just focused on the BIGFOOT Sasquatch phenomenon. We are focused on lots of other paranormal subject matter like ufology, and that's something that I can get a little bit more involved in and do a little bit more location stuff like I'm doing today, because I haven't done a huge amount of location stuff, and there is a reason for that which I've never really discussed, and that is that I've mentioned throughout this video that my fitness isn't great, but something that I don't often openly discuss and certainly haven't on air before, and that is that just over 2 years ago I had life-saving spinal surgery. So I've been in 2 years of recovery from that surgery, and therefore I've not been able to be as active as I was before that, and I was extremely active, and I'm hoping to get back to there and be able to get out and about a lot more now that I am feeling stronger and more capable of doing it. But that's why I'm being out of breath a lot throughout this special. Got some amazing views here. So location is definitely something that I want to be doing a lot more of. In terms of the research, in the near future, I am going to look into the whole subject of BIGFOOT Sasquatch and the UFO connection a little bit more. It's not something that previously I've been very focused on and done a lot of research, so I'm going to get into that a little bit more, and along the way I'll share that with you guys. Hopefully as the channel gets bigger, we can maybe get some sponsorship, or I can do a Patreon or something and get some way to get back over to the States and get over to some areas like Washington, California, up there in the mountains, or in Canada, and go and do some investigating in these locations that are hotspots for Bigfoot and Sasquatch encounters, and you know, where some of the top footage comes from. You know, certainly like the Patterson-Gimlin footage, and to go to that location would be just absolutely awesome. Now, I do have friends, and as I was mentioning earlier, host family that are based in sort of Arizona, that I could go and stay with to make things a little bit cheaper and use that as a base to jump to these areas. But it's about having the time and the money. So hopefully somewhere in the future, in the Vault, the channel will get bigger and bigger, and hopefully we can get some sponsorship or something and get some real interesting investigation and some proper stuff. I think that I was talking in the section chapter 3 about investigating Bigfoot, and I do apologize if I start to get a little bit more breathy here. I'm going very up a hill right now. Don't know if you can see that angle. It's just beautiful scenery across there. It's really clear, and you can see loads of like the forest. But anyway, so staying on point, staying on point. So yes, I feel that I would love to go to these locations, because I actually, with my skills that I've picked up, which I only think I'm touching the ice you know, what's the expression? I'm only touching the outer edges of what I feel like I'm capable of doing. In regards to if I was in these locations, some of the ways that I would come at it differently than what other people have come at it is more, I'm not a biologist, but I would come at it from a more biologist point of view, and I don't think some of the Bigfoot researchers or Bigfoot hunters that you find in these locations are really coming at it fully in a very open-minded way. I'm not going to give away too much information, because if I do get into a situation where I can do that, I want to be the first. So I don't want to give away all my tips and tricks, but I'll give you a little bit of a hint. And with a lot of Bigfoot encounters, Sasquatch encounters, either just documented or ones that have been caught on camera or whatever, the people that are involved report a smell, like a pretty stinky smell. And a lot of people naturally think that that's the smell emanating from the Bigfoot Sasquatch. I don't think it is. Logically, if you're talking about a creature that keeps itself hidden and is possibly a predator of other creatures in the natural environment, they certainly wouldn't want their stench to be picked up at distances or in the environment that they're in. I think there's another explanation for the smell, but I'm not going to tell you what that is. I'm going to keep you hanging on, and maybe one time, if I can get out to these locations of where these known sightings are, I can put my theories into practice. So hopefully that's the big dream, to actually take this really serious and get into some really good locations. So yeah, that pretty much rounds up today. I'm about to go into this area here that literally the trees, the path has just come to this point where the trees are all together, so I'm going to be entering into a bit of dark forest, so wish me well. I'll leave you with this thought. I've come here on this location several times, and there's some weird stuff that's happened today. And when you come out into an area like this where you're in a remote area, haven't seen a single person on this last day of shooting, and when you get into this sort of kind of location, I think that your mind can instantly start playing tricks on you. So you kind of, in some essence, do understand a lot of what you hear on a lot of the encounters and feelings that people describe as being watched and etc. I mean, the things that have happened today that are weird, as I've shared some of them with you on camera, you know, finding that fur, some sort of big bird making a lot of noise. I think that's a geese, possibly. Anyway, so yeah, I've shared some of them with you on camera, like the fur and other bits, but I didn't manage to get the noise that I was hearing on camera, where it sounded like a deep guttural scream, and not like a human girly kind of scream. But again, I can't explain what it was, and you know, who knows who's about, so I'm not going to fall into that trap of saying that it was something paranormal or something unexplainable. But something else that did happen was earlier I was filming with this gimbal and this camera and had it on facial recognition, and for some reason it was focusing. It was when I was doing the footage of the Georgia USA and doing the comparison footage. After I'd finished filming that, the camera was picking up something behind me and not focusing on me, as if something was stood behind me, which was really weird. And then the gimbal just went really strange, and I was trying to put it down because I thought something was wrong with it, and then it twisted because it was still trying to hone in on this thing. It was very strange, very weird. That, and then just this whole vibe of feeling like I'm being watched today, and maybe it's because I've not even had any human encounter so far today. But yeah, I am glad that this filming is coming to a close and that I can get back to my vehicle and get back to the safety of home. And don't mean to sound like a big scaredy cat on that one, but I've been out here plenty of times, and today is just you know, has been a lot more stranger. And the only thing that it leaves me with is an understanding of when these people go into these wilderness and these areas where, you know, for example, the missing 411 and all the cases that Plowdies has recorded, you know, you can understand why people start to get the heebie-jeebies. And yeah, so it's an eye-opener in that way. Hope you guys have enjoyed this special. Please make sure that you've liked this video, and please make sure to comment if you want to comment on some of the footage that was in the best, or any of the points and theories that I've raised today, or just comment to say hi and let me know whether you enjoyed this special or not. But thank you to everybody for all of your support so far, and hopefully I can bring you more specials. I would love to do a special on the Porth Call in Wales footage and get to that location and do a special there. So the future is boundless, and the more you guys support us, the more that we can do, really, and the more that we can share with you. So again, thank you, and this is G-Star signing off and going back to the vault. See you later, guys.
I'll never forget that few seconds that I did get to see her. It'll be with me the rest of my life. And so I feel like that I was pretty much, well, I won't say I was blessed, really blessed, but however reason or why the reason that I got to be the one that witnessed her, that I'm still alive, makes me feel really good.